Hey guys, Derek here, and today we're just going to talk about 3 things I want to see changed from the 8KX to the Pimax 12KQLED. I think that's the first time I've worn this with a hat on. So the first thing I would like to see changed in the 8KX going to the 12K is the need for parallel projection in certain titles. This absolutely destroys your performance. It's almost like running the game. It's almost twice as hard to get the same FPS. So basically, if you're running at like 100% res on a normal game, you're gonna have to clock yourself down to like 70%, 60% res to get almost the same performance as you would on 100% res, which really hurts the clarity of the image. So for instance, Project Cars 2, Automobilista 2, I've tried all the workarounds, I've tried this and that, I've tried moving the IPD just to make the double vision kind of blend together, and then it's just a little bit warped still, so it's not like having it just natively support that game. And Pimax headsets are the only ones that I've seen that require parallel projection in order to run certain titles. I think Elite Dangerous might have been another one. I actually don't have that title, but Automobilista 2 and Project Cars 2, just to name a couple, are games that I just don't even play in the headset anymore, which is sad because really, when it comes to immersion, AMS2 and Project Cars 2 are probably the two most potential immersive titles, just because ACC runs like crap in VR, and iRacing and rFactor 2 have still been my main two. They're the ones that make me feel like I'm actually driving a car the most. But the need for parallel projections, basically, it's almost twice as hard to run a game using that on the 8KX. So I'm hoping with the 12K, maybe they can figure out a way to not need that. Just let us play like the other headsets can. So that's one thing I would want to see changed in the 8KX. So the next thing I'd like on the 12K coming from the 8K, and they have worked on it a little bit already based on the videos I've seen, and that is at least sufficient counterweight, if not just to have the device lighter. I know the new one has like active cooling. The lenses, like the 8KX lenses here for instance, these are huge and they looked almost nothing compared to the 12K images I saw, or the 12K video footage I saw. Like the 12K ones were even much larger than these ones, which is quite scary. But in order to make that doable, it does need to be comfortable. So I used to be able to play for hours on end, and lately it's actually starting to impact me quite heavily, to be honest. I'm at the point now where I was starting to develop some, you even saw that right now. I have to do this quite often, and that's more so a chiropractor and powerlifting issue, more so than the VR headset. But I have noticed some like maybe neck pain at night, or through the day, just that wouldn't normally be there because I was playing with this for so long, and it is front heavy. It's very front heavy. So the workaround I've kind of been doing, and maybe I can show it a little bit here, is every time I jump in is to undo the top strap, pull it a little bit, put the headset back. I'm wearing a hat, obviously, but pulling this back piece down pretty much almost as far as it can go, lock it in almost fully tight, move the top of the headset down a little bit so I'm out of the sweet spot, and then crank this up as hard as I can almost. And then have it go, or have it Velcro to the top, and then that lifts the headset back up to the sweet spot, and that way some of the weight's off my face and it's being yanked backwards a little bit. And that's helped a little, but not as much, of course, of just having proper weight distribution, or just having the headset lighter in general. So even then, even with that slight workaround that I've been doing, after I've noticed, I just did a 10-lap race on, Brands Hatch, I think, on rFactor 2, just against some AI. And once 10 laps started rolling around, I'm like, okay, I'm kind of feeling like I need to get out of this now. So hopefully comfort, weight, or weight distribution at least, is something that's going to be worked on. I've noticed it starting to take an impact on my neck. So just hopefully that can be something going forward. I can't play as long as I used to be able to play in this anymore, at least in the sitting position. I haven't been doing much standing games lately, just kind of racing, but weight distribution would be my number 2. The number 3 thing that might worry me a little bit going from an 8K to the Pimax 12K is the resolution and how hard these games are to run on these things. So like the resolutions show here, I'll put an actual calculation up for the say amount of pixels that your GPU is needing to pump out. But it's over 5,000 by 3,000 per eye in the 8KX. So the number one thing that I'm actually going to be looking for is when I plug in the 12K, what is 100% res on a large FOV setting? What's the Steam super sampling resolution to kind of account for that? That's going to be what dictates how hard the game is to run. And the technologies are kind of there to help facilitate the performance drawbacks, that being, motion smoothing, reprojection, where it kind of fakes a frame for every 2 frames or something like that. But there is some ghosting, there is some artifacts, and that alone actually takes performance to use. So in a game where I'm at, let's say 75 FPS, and motion reprojection, you'll say I'm running 90 FPS as my default refresh rate, and I'm only reaching about 75, 70 FPS in game. Motion smoothing uses performance. So I noticed that I'm either playing 75 FPS or when I have motion smoothing on, it still sometimes can't reach 45, even though with it off, I could clearly reach over 45. So that makes it cut down to 30 with reprojection, which looks terrible in fast-paced racing games. But when it goes to 45, it's definitely tolerable, but then there's still ghosting around, the hood of your car, the wheels of other car, anything that's moving really fast, there is a bit of ghosting or artifacts. So maybe they can kind of help with how it's optimized and maybe some of the projection and how the image comes across. But maybe a 45 FPS is actually like a target goal and it doesn't actually eat performance to use that feature. That feature may be something to explore. However, the difficulty of running these games, and this is coming from a 9900K 3090 system, and I overclock to about 5 gigahertz on the CPU, and then I overclock my GPU. So overclocking your GPU in VR does help quite a bit, but obviously you want to be a little careful with doing that because temperatures start rising, but overclocking the GPU can help because you're running at such ridiculous resolutions. So that's what worries me, is that if I hop onto iRacing, if I hop onto rFactor 2, hopefully parallel projections can be fixed and I can hop into AMS2 again with the 12K, that the overall Steam super sampling resolution isn't going to just destroy my PC and my experience. And in that case, even a 4090, I'm not sure what the Steam super sampling res is going to be on the 12K, but if it's much greater than the 8KX, we know we're in trouble even with a 4090. So I want to see if there's any technologies that can kind of assist with the performance aspect. Or if maybe the resolution doesn't jump up that much, it's more so the lenses and the panels that you're looking at that make the image that much clearer and that much better, because really that much resolution is a little crazy. It's more so how it's actually getting displayed. When you actually take a monitor resolution, when I have my triple screens running 7750 by 1440, and I calculate the amount of pixels it's actually putting out, and then I used that resolution in the headset, it looks completely terrible, obviously, right? When I tried to make the equivalent pixel count in here, it just looks like a PlayStation 1 game. So hopefully we can get something performance related, because that's really the thing that scares me probably the most in going to a 12K. And one thing I watched that I noticed they have been kind of working on is the sound. So obviously with this one here, I said it in my review video that, hello? There we go, focus in. That you basically have to treat this like there is no audio. You need your own audio. I typically use my speakers or over-ear headphones and it works quite all right. But the sound quality was, I've been looking at like reviews and YouTube videos on the DMAS kit and whatnot. But like the Valve Index and the Reverb G2 audio was, like I had the G2 and the audio was actually quite scary how good it was, even compared to really expensive headphones. So hopefully the sound in the next one is also, I watched the video that it is going to be upgraded quite a bit. So I'm hoping that, we get some good immersive sound and maybe some off-ear speakers for it as well. So that's going to basically cover the main things that I want to see worked on, is the parallel projection, the weight and distribution and comfort, and maybe something like fixing the fact that we're going to need an overclocked 4090 to be able to run even close to 100% res on a 12K. I really want to know the Steam super sampling resolution. Maybe I'll poke around in some forums and see if anyone has any input on that, since they actually do have some prototype models out. But of course, as soon as I can get my hands on one, I will, and I'm going to do a full review from a sim racing perspective, because that might be the end-all be-all headset, and the triple screens will basically go out the door at that point. So Stay tuned for that. It's gonna be end of the year. I have been going through. We're moving to a new place soon. We have the wedding coming up, so the video uploads might be a little bit shaky since just some real life stuff kicking in. But yeah, I want to make a couple more racing videos and some more Pimax content. So stick around for that, and we will catch you guys in the next video.